Hello, my friends, and welcome to FISHTORY. I'm Alexander Williamson, and today I have something very special for you. We are going over films that are over 130 years old. These are the first moving pictures, the first film of fish or the aquarium hobby, period. Now, there's two very short films. They're under a minute each, and they're both by the Lumiere brothers, and really incredible pioneering cinematic history. But also, I thought, let's look at these and see what we can learn about fish keeping and fish history. FISHTORY. So let's jump in, let's take a look at these and have some fun. Alright, so this first film is simply called Fishing for Goldfish, and it's all the way back in 1895. Yeah, 130 years ago. And we are looking at Ernest Lumiere and his daughter, and they're filming her playing with a vase full of fish. Now, this isn't necessarily that fascinating on its own, but out of all the things they could film, one of the things that they thought would speak to people or be touching is this interplay between his daughter and the goldfish, and it kind of tells you that they were a known part of the society. Now, later on, they colorized their own films, and they actually revolutionized some of the processes of how to make colorized films. So here you can see a little clearer, and I don't want to dwell too long on this film. It's really the next one that's of more interest to me. But here you can see that the goldfish they have are not really even gold. They're kind of like piebald, black and silver, and kind of a bronze or brown color. And so that's kind of interesting, but clearly available to someone, not some rare thing that only the elite would have. And, we'll watch it one more time. You can really make out here the details. And apparently it was really crisp when they showed these early films, but the archival quality kind of degraded. And by the mid-20th century, we kind of thought, oh man, those were really grainy films. But a lot of times Edison gets the credit or someone else for film, and these guys did not invent it per se, but they definitely popularized it. They went on a world tour with their camera and projectors. Now, what fascinates me is that, they could have filmed anything, and they wanted to film something to show off the technology, but also something that would connect with people. And that tells you that fish, they were a part of society, just like a pet cat or dog. By that point, a goldfish or a paradise fish was something you could find in the average household. And that really is kind of interesting, because 50 years earlier, that wouldn't have been the case. It would have been mostly rich people, well-off folks would have that. Now, the other thing is, they could have filmed anything, but they want to show off the technology, this new camera. And, one of the things they filmed early on was a train, and I'll show you that here in a second. But it's rather infamous because supposedly it caused people to jump up out of their seats. They thought it was real and coming through the wall, supposedly. Well, turns out historically that might not be quite true, but it does kind of show you the mindset of the time that people would believe that sort of a story. So I think it's just fascinating that the fish were this kind of everyday object, and it was human urge to keep fish was being highlighted. And you actually see in the next film we're going to watch, you're going to see that they're documenting more exotic fish and the whole idea of an aquarium. Now, I'm going to warn you, if you are very sensitive towards the welfare of fish, this isn't going to be a pleasant video. But it does show that, what they were keeping easily at the time, or at least what a non-fish keeper could go and purchase and put together for a film. Now, from what I could find, they did decide to work with a person who is an aquarist by hobby, and to film this they had to have natural light, really bright limelight and natural light, and so they actually had to worry about the heat of the situation. And when they tried to aerate the tank and splash bubbles and have like a fountain going, the problem is that that movement really kind of interferes with that old school technology of filming at a slower frame rate and in black and white. It makes the water all hazy. So what you get is what we're going to see in a moment here, which is just a bunch of fish crammed into a space. But hopefully what you can pick out when we look at it, which, by the way, isn't much different from my buddy's tank here. He's crammed a whole bunch of oddball fish, eels, and, there's a moray freshwater eel there. There's tire track eels and fire eels and rope fish, plecos. Back to the subject, though. They basically just wanted to show off as many of these fish as possible and show what people were keeping in aquariums. This is what you would have found at your average aquarium in the 1880s. And in the 1890s, that started to change. People started to keep more truly tropical fish. But pick out in this video that we're about to watch, this old film, what species you see. From my knowledge of the subject, it looks like they are all European species of fish. Now, you're going to see one with silver scales, and that is actually known as a mirror carp. I have a whole episode on mirror carps, and they were bred by Augustinian monks in Bavaria, and they've been bred since around 1,000 years ago, maybe 1,200 years ago. But they are what was crossed with the Japanese koi, and they are a European Eurasian carp variety, and they are crossed then to make the doitsu, or the big silver scales you can see clearly on koi. They were crossed to make those, but it appears that they actually have a true mirror carp in this video. So let's take a look at it and see what we see. Alright, so here it is. This is just called the aquarium. And you can see there's frogs at the top, probably French bullfrogs, European bullfrogs. And there are eels in here. From my best guess, they're Eurasian or European eels, Mediterranean eels. They're definitely not electrical eels, which a lot of the stuff online actually lists them as such and says that's why the fish are not doing well in the water. And that's not the case. Now, there's that big carp I was talking about, and that would have been a pretty impressive specimen. The monks actually took care of these, and later the aristocrats in society in the 1600s, 1700s had these in their ponds and things. Now, I want to watch the film one more time, up closer, and then we'll watch it yet a last time, zoom back out. But I just wanted to show you guys, yeah, there it is, the mirror carp. That was a domesticated version of a goldfish, essentially, or of a koi that came out of Europe and that has really been forgotten in large part in our hobby. But it looks pretty different than the koi of the period. And even though they were crossed and the genetics live on in the fish, this was something that was stocked in lakes and rivers all over America and all over Europe at the time. Now, you can see that the eels and the fish and the frogs, not so happy. There's also some minnows and probably some tench or some sort of, basically some sort of a freshwater perch is also in there. If you guys can ID the exact species, that would be awesome. And it also looks like maybe some sort of bass is in there, from the looks of that quick silhouetted one. But it must have been fascinating to just get a glimpse of this. And, I don't know if the fish that didn't make it, if that was seen as like a faux pas or weird at the time. But this was so early on that things like framing a shot or, having a storyline didn't exist yet. Alright, so I want to bring this thing home. We'll look at some of my rainbow fish in the newest tank setup I have while I talk about some last thoughts, which is, this is in 1895 and 1896. Just getting around that idea in your head, how long ago that was, the fact that cars were not around, that flight had not been achieved yet, and that there is film of this stuff going on. It's just really fascinating and kind of magical. We've looked at still images on this channel a lot, and text resources, journal meetings, and things like that. But there is something unique and something exciting when you see fish on the silver screen. Even in early cinematography, it would actually cause fads. I mean, movies were a big deal, and these brothers, more than inventing a machine which could both film movies on the site and was light enough to pick up and move in several suitcases, and then it could play them back too in the same machine with any sort of like limelight or bright light. So no electricity required, and it was a hand crank machine. It really changed the game. It allowed people to bring these things out into the world instead of having to be in a studio like in the past. Moving picture illusions had been, or things like the cinematoscope, I believe it's called, or kinesioscope, which different varieties of inventions that Edison and a number of other inventors and workshops and studios played with it at around the same time. But these guys came up with the idea of bringing people into the movie theater and all watching it together, projected big on a screen, making it literally larger than life. And, I think the fact that they chose fish and people interacting with fish and aquariums is a testament to the trend, the popularity of keeping fish at the time, but also in the bowl, almost the ubiquity, because it's the interaction between the daughter and the dad that's important. And I'd like to know what you guys think. What stands out? What's interesting to you? And oh my gosh, it's a train! Oh, never mind, guys. It's just the magic of film. But what stands out to you guys about this 130-year-old film? I'd really, really love to hear it. Wasn't that cool, you guys? I thought that was a really fun episode. I had a good time doing the research on this and looking through the archives. Just really neat stuff. So thank you so much for watching and allowing me to make this sort of content, to share it with you. A lot of times my favorite episodes come from suggestions from you guys watching, from the community, from questions you guys are asking as the community. We have such a great group of people in the comments helping one another with questions about the aquarium, with how to do maintenance or how to care or breed for specific species or situations. Thank you so much for making this channel what it is. I really couldn't do it without you. And liking, subscribing, that is so important. I really do appreciate it, and it is what fuels the channel. But if you want to help me make this channel a little more polished, a little more, how do we say it? A little more 4K. The next goal with memberships is to take the money from that and to buy a subscription, which they can be a couple $100s a month. But buy a subscription service to one of the B-roll or film footage archives so that we can access like pictures taken out in the field, National Geographic style, drone footage and things like that, and edit that in so you don't have to look at my face all the time during these episodes. So that's the goal. If you want to support it, it's only $1.99. You get access to over 200 extra episodes, plus behind the scenes sneak peeks and shout outs when there's deals or things going on in the aquarium hobby that I think the members would want to know about. So thank you for watching. I will see you guys next time, of course, and I hope you have a wonderful day.